Yeah, I'd say REO and Hiori are pretty good. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, Bruce the Monstrous Anime here. Laundry Room Bruce, Monkey D. Gucci, the world's #1 striker. New Bullet Club shirt. So, we're here with Blue Lock, chapter 129. Almost forgot. Hope you're doing well. I am, because we're talking about Blue Lock chapter 129. And I also almost wasn't going to make a video today. I was going to take a break, guys, because I've been reviewing Blue Lock and Diamond Ways kind of consistently since I started the channel every week. So, I was going to kind of take a break today, but I read the chapter at work, and I was just like, nah, I couldn't skip this week. So next week I might find a time. I'm kind of hoping Blue Lock goes on break at least for a week. I know it's heresy to say, but I kind of hope it goes on break one of these weeks so I can just get a Wednesday off, because I love reading the manga and I love reacting to it, because it's just constant hype. So there's no chapter I want to take a break on. There's no chapter, every time I think about doing it, it's like, man, this chapter's real good. I want to talk about it. So here we are. But I hope it doesn't actually go on break. But you know what I mean. I was gonna take a break today, but this chapter was too good. But so let's get into it. So we start off with the substitutions from last week's chapter. Remember, we had Hiori come in and REO come in to substitute Chigiri and Nico. Nico being injured and Chigiri running out of stamina because of his lack of stamina due to kind of being out of football for a while, right? And this chapter focuses real heavily on Hiori and REO and what an impression they make, because the author, he writes them, he basically compares them to the two main stars, I guess if you count the offensive and the defensive stars of the under-20 team, and he showcases their skills and what they bring to the Blue Lock team. And I'm getting ahead of the kind of the flow of the chapter. I'll go into that, but this chapter really showcases that Blue Lock, by focusing on all around just playing football to score goals, they build up skills that allow them to cover a wide variety of positions, even goalkeepers. So that's kind of, I think that's what's really leading into the ultimate philosophy of ego, but that's kind of getting ahead of ourselves. So let's start back at the beginning. Hiori is bringing the ball up to the opponent's goal, the under-20 goal, and he's kind of looking around, and Isugi comments that their formation till now was moving separately around Rin to kind of either just create a distraction and draw heat off him to spread the defense out. He doesn't go into that much detail. He just says they all move separately, kind of acting dynamically with Rin, but that's kind of what they're doing. They were spreading the defense out as much as possible to create a high-powered offensive formation. But this time they're using Hiori as an offensive anchor, because as we know, Hiori is a great passer. He's great. He's very still, as they comment in the manga. He takes his time to find the right play and uses his passing skills to get the best play out of people. He's not really an aggressive goal scorer, which is strange for a striker, but he comments in this chapter that he fights differently, because in one of the best moments, I think, for Hiori, and one of my favorite moments in Blue Lock so far, he goes up against the Buddha-looking guy, the under-20 Buddha-looking guy, and the Buddha guy is like, "Hey man, you're not getting past me. Bring it on, Cyan Head." And Hiori's like, "Okay. I mean, I wasn't really trying. I fight like just that cheeky, just okay. I wasn't trying. I'm not trying to get past you. I fight a little differently." And he showcases that because he gets a really high-level pass to Karasu, and Karasu makes kind of he's like, you got that through that narrow hole, how lewd. And Karasu's just, his foul mouth is weirdly like opposite of his like technical mind and his analytical mind. It's just, I love his character kind of juxtaposition against his personality and his fighting style in football. But right, he already showcases great passing skill, as we've discovered that he has through the story. And Karasu's bringing it up, and he gets it back to Hiori. Hiori gets the ball back from Karasu, and we start to see the egoist come out in Hiori, because he says, "Come on, it's time," and he prepares to shoot a cross pass. And Isuki comments that his left foot is still, so he says they need to react by reflex, because they just see that he's winding up for his passing motion. If I'm explaining that correctly, if I'm explaining that clearly, they reflexively see him slow down and gear up to hit a pass. And when he does hit the pass, Sendo actually comments that it has Seitoshi level qualities, which is a very huge compliment. It's very, if we were ever doing power scaling in a football manga, that would shoot him right up the rankings if just for that comment alone. But he does hit a high level cross pass, and we think it's going to Ren, and it actually is going to Nagi, my boy, but it actually the defender gets up on Nagy. I'll put the defender's names down here, guys. I'm real bad with names because I've only we've only been with him a short amount of time. Forgive me for that. But the defender who has a real angry attitude pulls up on Nagi, and Nagi just comments that he wants to get rid of him, and he passes to Isugi, who's coming up in Ren's blind spot. No, Ren can see him. Ren can see him. Correction. He comes up behind Ren, who Ren is blocking the defender in front of him, so he has an open goal. But immediately Aiku comes to block him and shuts him down. So Aiku's not dead yet. Aiku's not fallen asleep. He's not fallen behind. He's still a monster in front of the goal. Defensively, I should say. He's a defensive monster in front of the goal. So Isugi can't relax. And he says, I'm going to put that leash on you, because at the beginning of the match, right, they talk about cops and robbers and stuff like that. So he brings that back to Isugi. He says, I'm not letting you pass. So for right now, Isugi is shut down. I have a little theory on that going forward, but we'll talk about that at the end of the video. And he misses the goal, and it's a counterattack. And this is where things get even crazier with the comparisons, because my boy Rio, one of he shot up the rank. Him and Nagi are like my favorite characters, and it's just crazy that they shot up that way because of the way Rio's introduced and how he acts through the selections. But it's awesome that we get to see him grow in the way it does, in the way he does, I should say. But he has a flashback, like a mini flashback to talking to Ego, and the reason why he is brought on is because he was watching all the 4 defenders of the under-20 team the whole match, just watching them, and we find out he ended up copying their moves with his 99% chameleon style, his 99% accuracy, and in one of the most badass moments of the series, in my opinion, a little biased probably because he's one of my favorite characters. He sees a shot being given to Shido in front of the goal, and he then uses Aiku's style from the beginning of the match, and does the snake thing in one of the best pieces of artwork in the series, in my opinion, one of my favorites. I don't like to show it for too long, but I'll put it up here. Real awesome stuff, real well drawn, as always, with Bullock, but it's just the way the snake looks cybernetic, it looks like a computer program, like he literally is like, all right, defensive play, analyzed, constructed, recreating, like he pressed the enter button and he remade the play by pressing the enter button on the computer. It's sick. It's badass. Even Nagi comments on its coolness. We're seeing Rio slowly get better and better and better and better to he'll probably never reach Nagi's zone, his level, but he wants to be able to stand beside him, not behind him. So that's just my interpretation on it. But badass moment, blocks the shot. Aiku's like, what the hell? That's my move. So Shido can't do whatever he wants in front of the goal anymore, at least not to the level he just was, I should say. He's still a force. He's still, a monster in the penalty era, but he can't run rampant with Rio being there to use all the moves of the defenders that he copied. So I'm curious to see him kind of use different defenders' techniques on Shido and maybe other under-20 players if they do get a chance to score a goal. I feel like they're just sending it to Shido or at least Sei's sending it to Shido from this point onwards. So that ends the match, the badass snake panel. We see this chapter, like I mentioned before, this chapter focuses on Hiori and Rio and kind of their skill levels and how they juxtapose against the under-20 team. And while Rio is using his copying and his high specs to reach a certain level of skill with the under-20 players, Hiori just naturally possesses weapons that can fight against the under-20 players. But it's interesting to see both their methods and how Ego thinks about football and how he uses their skills to create a new matchup for the under-20 team, with Hiori being kind of that anchor at the front lines and Rio being an anchor at the back lines. But like he said, he wanted to shore up their team. They needed balance. So it's really well written, in my opinion. It's when you're reading Blue Lock, like, as crazy as it is, as wild as it is, there's something satisfying about reading it, because I feel like there's a lot of I'm gonna get flat. Like logic in the writing, logic in how it presents itself. Even though I know it's wild. Like obviously they're athletes, they shouldn't be able to do super crazy things. But rapid growth as a young person isn't crazy to think about. It's not unexpected, but I get off track. I just think like when I read Blue Lock, I find it very satisfying to see the progression and how I can see somebody's train of thought and how it plays out in the match, in the matches, in the selection trainings and all that. That's just what I meant. One thing I should mention, when we saw Isugi get in front of the goal, you can actually see Aiku kind of coming up in the he's like in the background of the panels. It's kind of cool, especially even when Isugi's gearing up to shoot and he's in front of the goal. You can see the goal in front of him. You see Aiku's face, like I gotta get that in the the camera, like right here or right there. I think it, yeah, like right there. You can see his face, and it has that like kind of egoist, like angry face going on, like his instincts are taking over. So I thought that was a nice touch. We see Aiku come up and make the play, so I thought that was pretty cool. But other than that, guys, that's it for this week. That's all I have for this chapter. Like I said, I was almost going to take a break, but this chapter is just too good not to talk about. It was sick. I love the artwork. I love, like I said, the logic. The writing's really cool. It's keeping me engaged. I look forward to every chapter. So Blue Lock's rolling right now. I'll see you guys next week with it. If you did like the video, make sure to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. If you enjoy Blue Lock content, really appreciate it, guys. Until next time. Later.